Welcome to the Movie Lighthouse, shining a light through the fog of film. My name is James.
My name is Jason.
And I'm Wyndham.
And this is our James Bond review, No Time to Die. Hello, Jason. How's it going?
I'm well. Yeah. We're not doing Moonraker.
I love Moonraker.
I'm good. I'm all right. Yeah,
Next
I'm good.
time.
I'm good. Thanks. How are you guys? Are you all good?
Yeah. Not bad at all. Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, we're recording this on Halloween. Anyone got any plans?
Put a sign up outside the door.
Saying
no
don't
kids.
come in.
Yeah.
Don't come here.
We got a note from our neighbour at 10 o'clock last night saying, any chance we can pop round tomorrow? Like, only if Louise is in.
See, my house.
Yeah.
I know you've both seen my house, but it's kind of black. And
It
the
looks like a
house is
proper
quite
Halloween
overgrown.
house.
Yeah, so the kids are shit scared. They don't come anywhere near it, I think. Which is great.
And every time anybody approaches the door, your hound from hell loses its shit.
Yeah, exactly. As long as I don't see him, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to review this new Bond film.
Why would I betray you?
We all have our secrets. We just didn't get to yours yet.
The world is arming faster than we can respond. Where's 007?
I need a favor, brother. You're the only one I trust for this.
The world's moved on, Commander Bond.
You were 00?
2 years. So stay in your lane. You get in my way, I will put a bullet in your knee. The one that works.
I thought you two would get along.
So I've got 3 questions for you. How much?
Is this like a quiz?
No.
Oh, okay.
Done with quizzes.
Okay,
How much of a fan are you? Favorite Bond and your favorite Bond film. So let's go to Wyndham first.
Ooh. How big a fan am I? I don't know whether I'd describe myself as a fan as such. If they're on, I can watch them. I can't remember the last time I actively selected one to watch. What was the second question? Favorite Bond?
Yeah, who's your favorite Bond?
Do you know what? I'm gonna go with Daniel Craig.
Okay.
I think he's been excellent.
He's a popular choice.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite Bond film? Any film, I guess.
Favorite Bond film? Given that Daniel Craig is probably my Bond, I think it's close between Casino Royale and Skyfall, I think.
All right. Okay. All right. So same questions to you, Jason.
I would say I'm a Bond fan. Not as much an ardent Bond fan as I was previously, but definitely a fan.
Yeah.
Favorite Bond. I would probably say Sean Connery. Daniel Craig's up there. I get it, and I can see why, but I just think everything post Connery is harking back to that.
Okay.
Greater or lesser degree. Do you know what I mean? So I think he was the original one. Anyway, yes, Sean Connery. Favorite film would be Goldfinger.
Right. So I don't know if you can see what I've written down here. So this is what I put down for you, Jason.
So
big
That
fan.
says Gold Gigger.
Sean Connery, Goldfinger.
Okay, well done.
I did that.
Very good.
Job done. Right. Lovely to chat with you guys.
All
well
right.
done.
So do you know what? I was thinking, I'm not really a big fan, but I have seen every single film and I do like it. And I will go to the cinema to watch the new ones and stuff like that. So I am a fan. Definitely it's Roger Moore for me. And it's got to be, I'm torn. I love The Man with the Golden Gun, but it's probably the very slightly probably racist these days.
Slightly and probably.
Racist. Live and Let Die. I love it.
Oh, that's a good film. Yeah.
All right.
So there was a thing on YouTube that came up on a search, and it was like 10 most un-PC things featured in James Bond films, and it just listed through them. It's like things which would never be repeated in today's. And you're just like,
well, I mean, we were kind of talking about this on the other one, I think, and I mean, if you do look at it, there is an argument that against the kind of racist qualities, I guess, the fact that the guy who runs the whole thing is a black guy and he's doing it to keep tourists away and all that kind of stuff. But it's dodgy ground, so I don't think we should go onto it today, really.
No.
I'm not going to defend it. All right, so Jason, what were your expectations of this film? I mean, we know it was a long time coming. It took about 2 years to get to the cinema itself.
I was expecting quite big things, to be honest, as it was Daniel Craig's 5th film, his final film. The fact that they'd changed writers, I just was like, okay, we're waiting. COVID had probably nearly bankrupted everybody involved. So
just about the writers, it was, I'm right in saying it was Danny Boyle originally, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and he kind of went off in a Fist of Fury.
And don't really understand why that was, but yeah, there was what they call it, artistic differences. Yeah. And yes, and I think as well, Daniel Craig was producing it, and he's produced a couple of them, wouldn't he? He's got has had quite an active role in how the last couple of films have sort of unfolded. So I don't know how much he was involved in that whole thing and getting the new people in and looking at the team who wrote No Time to Die. But yeah, I was expecting big things, and
Did it? All right, I will come back to it. Yeah. How about you, Win?
Yeah, I agree with everything Jason said. It had to be a bit jaw-dropping. Otherwise it wouldn't deliver on its promise. And the fact that it was his last, I don't know how many of the previous Bonds we've known it was their last before it was their last, and how many of them got cast afterwards. But I don't remember. If we did know previously, then I didn't. I wasn't a big enough fan. I wasn't aware enough to know.
It certainly wasn't made a thing of like it has been this time. And obviously, guys, spoilers we're going to be talking spoilers about this. It's been out long enough. So we'll talk about the end at the end. But yeah, I think this was the first one where they really made a massive thing. Although I seem to remember Pierce Brosnan, the same thing kind of happening with his kind of run, that he was saying, this is certainly my last Bond and stuff. They seem to get really sick of it by the end. All right, so what are your thoughts? First thoughts? Did you like it? Did you not? Was it good? Did you enjoy it?
Who's going first? Me or Win?
Go first.
Okay. I did enjoy it. It was visually excellent. It was visually a James Bond film.
Yeah.
And everything that's involved with what you expect to get hit by when you sit there and watch it, especially on the big screen. I loved the fact that all the characters were there, and they were portrayed how they were portrayed by the actors who portrayed them. And I don't know how far you want to go down that in due course.
We'll go on to characters.
There were a few sort of minor disappointments, like the whole Spectre thing. Everyone getting wiped out because someone farted or whatever it was, and you're just sort of like, hang on, this has been building up for 4 films, and it was just done, and you're like, really? And there was a couple of other little bits in there which were a little bit disappointing. I thought from a storytelling point of view.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of found that a little bit confusing as well.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why. I thought it was excellent that they had a Blofeld return. I didn't think they did a great job of him the first time around, but they really had elected him, haven't they, and done all that kind of sinister stuff. I like the bits with the eyes. Win.
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. I agree.
I thought you had your hand up.
No, not at all. I thought you would finish with Jason. As is your want, you quickly move on.
I thought you were with a hand. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was stretching my thumb.
All right, Wyndham, let's carry on with you.
Yeah, in general, I thought it was excellent. And I get I get what Jason said about this big story arc suddenly, like, and they're all in the same room at the same time.
Yeah.
What? Everybody understands that that's a stupid idea.
Mm.
I mean, even villains understand that's a stupid idea. So yeah, there is that, and whilst it does, I guess, lead the thinking to, oh my god, there's this even bigger villain. So it's like the universe. Every story starts here, and then you realise there's a layer outside of it, and a layer outside of that, and a layer outside of that. But yeah, in general, I think it did everything I wanted it to do.
And I think we'll get on to Rami Malek in a minute, but I think maybe that was a problem because he didn't seem like the overarching secret big villain. So it seemed like an anticlimax. But I guess with all these Daniel Craig films, I mean, obviously, consider Royale was as stripped back as you possibly could get. You know, what with all the things that we knew as Bond were hardly there. And what they've done throughout these films is kind of giving it us back, drip feeding it. And this time, you know, we got the car, we got the gadgets. We didn't just get 3 big locations. We got about 5 locations.
Yeah.
We've got the Bond girls, you know, albeit in a slightly different way that maybe some of the old core fans are used to, but so that you could do it in any other way. And then you've got the big villain bit with
and the big lair.
And the big
lair. Yeah.
So you can you know, and you had the cameos, you had what's his name, the American guy who always
Felix Leiter,
you know, and all that. So they kind of threw everything at it, but I think sometimes the plot kind of got a little bit lost along the way.
Yeah, and it's a good point because it as you said, the first 4, let's ignore Quantum of Solace, but that first group of films are all pared back. They're all, broadly speaking, trying to live in a more realistic world. And maybe it feels that because they're not, the production team are no longer used to delivering that kind of crazy Bond film, that they weren't entirely comfortable with, let's just throw everything in it apart from the vast misogyny. Everything else comes in.
Yeah. Even like
maybe they didn't quite, because I agree with you. I think I've seen lots of reports saying Rami Malek was amazing, and you kind of go, compared to Goldfinger, Blofeld, who's the dude with the hands in Doctor No, Scaramanga, all of these characters were proper big, massive. He's a bit freaky, but
really,
I mean, I think it started very well. I mean, it was incredibly sinister. The first 10 minutes, I was with my friend Catherine, and she was scared shitless with the mask and that kind of bit.
Okay.
You know, that was quite hardcore, I think, for any Bond film. But yeah, I think Rami Malek was a bit lackluster. I didn't get. Oh, well, I knew what his motivations were, but they're all the same, really. But I didn't quite understand why he went to all the, you know, why he killed all the Spectre people and did all that. I mean, what did it matter to him, really? I mean, I may have missed something because I did go outside to.
Because it was a long film.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, 40 minutes of trailers at the start. Jesus Christ. All right, so what do we think of the characters? Who worked, who didn't? Let's start with the man himself, Daniel Craig. Was it his finest Bond performance? Win.
Was it his finest Bond performance? I don't know whether it was his finest Bond performance, but I think it was the right Bond performance. I think it took us on his journey, and his kind of concluded his journey really well. And you get that kind of vulnerability with Daniel Craig's Bond that you don't get with the previous Bonds. And in this film, hugely vulnerable. And that whole kind of, we all know that Bond is willing, because of what he does for a living, to make the ultimate sacrifice, but we also recognize that he never has to. And that kind of the susceptibility and the vulnerability and the suddenly actually he's not bulletproof. I think it was a great performance.
Now, I don't think I've seen this one actually, but I wrote in saying there's a Timothy Dalton film where his wife is murdered at the start, and he basically goes on a vengeance rampage.
That's George Lazenby.
Oh, really?
She's killed at the end.
Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, really? Is he killed at the end of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. So, and then if you'll notice, if you keep that in mind, when you watch this film, there are sort of little tie-ins with that movie because of the music that they use and when they use it, and there's little Easter eggs in there which just sort of tie into the fact which I won't know if that's the right time to talk about that, but I will come back into because it leads on to a thing that annoyed me later on.
No, talk about it now.
Okay, so they play on the whole, okay, there is this history of other Bond films that they sort of relate to through, for example, the theme music, which is shared by On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then one of the his wife dies, and it's sort of there's the supposed tie-in. Okay, so there is this recognized tie-in between the two films. Okay, so but then the counter to that is that what happens at the end sort of kicks the what's the word I'm looking for, that sort of lineage, or that storytelling lineage, even though the films are spanned over 50 years in reality, and James Bond is not ever 50 in all the films, if you know what I mean, and can stretch that. There's what they do, what happens late at the end of the movie sort of shatters that what they have done.
All right.
Does this make sense?
Without saying what happens.
Yeah.
We are going to say what happens because we did say there were going to be spoilers.
Okay.
So just to let you know, unfortunately, I had to go and change the time of the restaurants because I was with a group of young people. So I had to leave 5 minutes before the end of the film. So, but I'm reliably informed that this time James didn't survive. However, I mean, I am right in saying this is the first time it's ever been done. So my questions are, usually what happens when, I mean, continuity in Bond, even with the same actor, is often forgotten, I think. But certainly when they change the actor, they don't kind of do a whitewash, do they? But they remember what they want and forget what they want. Do you think we're going to see a different kind of thing here, or do you think we'll just have another Bond and it'll all be forgotten? And do you get where I'm coming from here?
Yeah. And that's the great debate, isn't it? Is what's going to work. So some people say, well, if you go to the Marvel universe or you go to the DC universe where you have multiple actors and multiple events happen, and yet they then reboot the franchise and there's no tie-in to the previous franchise, George Clooney's Batman, for example, is never going to be remembered later on down the line. So, but the annoyance for me in this film was that they lent on the heritage of On Her Majesty's Secret Service in other films, and yet you're meant to go, okay, this is a bookended Daniel Craig syncology or whatever you call for five films with a sort of lean to the history, and yet they do what they do at the end, so therefore it carries on. But how can you carry on when you have for the first time done what you've done at the end of the film to really shatter that?
Well,
I get what
that
makes sense. Does that make sense
in
a
does,
sort of non-film criticky type way?
Yes, it does. But the thing is, even with this run of Bond films, we had carryover characters, didn't we? So we had Judi Dench. She was in the Brosnan films, and I think didn't we see the last appearance of? Oh no. I think the last appearance of the original. So
Desmond Llewellyn, who played Q, who died, who that was his last film, was Pierce Brosnan's big BMW. So again, there's these tie-ins, and then they and that.
Did you
that
not like
that?
Me?
No.
Okay. How about you, Wim?
It didn't annoy me. I'm not as au fait with the films as you are, Jason. So a lot of the tiebacks to On Her Majesty's Secret Service didn't resonate with me as strongly. And I thought I liked the ending. So essentially they blow him up. He dies. But I kind of thought it was the only way to end Daniel Craig's Bond journey. And it was that whole kind of, actually, you know what? We've killed off M in one of them. We've killed off James Bond. And I think we had brief conversation, James, and it was that whole kind of, essentially, it doesn't prevent them doing anything that they want to do, because all of the characters who've played James Bond have been James Bond. And actually, you kind of sit there going, well, is it a code name? I know in this one, because it explored his history so deeply, that arc with Skyfall and things like that, we actually know that in this little segment of the Bond history,
Bond universe,
he was James Bond. And there's nothing to say that you couldn't, in honor of his service, go, actually, anyone who's a 007, their code name's James Bond. Fine.
Yeah. I mean,
whatever it might be. So no, it didn't, and it I liked the fact they ended it the way they did.
Well, I kind of near the end now, but my final question is: if you were a producer, where would you go next with it, having ended it like this? And I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth with them, because I wonder if they will make a thing of actually the 007 is James Bond, because I mean, they did. I've always thought it a bit weird that like one of our greatest spies just wanders around just giving his code name out all the time and stuff, and
telling everyone
his
who he
real
is.
name so they can't trace his family and history. But it's a fake. But Jason, let's come to you. If you were I want to say Cubby Broccoli, is that right?
Dead. Barbara.
He's dead. This is Barbara.
If you were Barbara Broccoli, what would you be
wanting
to do?
So just to come back to the point Wynn made, for how it ended for Daniel Craig, I agree with that. The book ended, Casino Royale, finishing with whatever it was called, bloody No Time to Die. Yeah. Okay, so I accept that. I think that's a very good point. What was the question?
What would you
do if you were Barbara Broccoli?
Oh, sorry, I was disappeared on my own arse then for a second. I don't know, and this leans on this thing that's what annoys me. I think in the mindset as to how I would like things to have done, really, I would have said the ending shouldn't have happened, and therefore they could have carried on doing things relevant to the era that new film comes out at, and and all the correctness and anything else they want to tie in. I think Happy Days. I think you can't forget what's happened in this film, and I think so. Whatever they do, they're going to have to lean on that as a fact. And say, and like you guys have just said, okay, there is the whole James Bond 007 is actually a code name or something, because I just think to then go, oh yeah, what's your name? Oh, my name's James Bond. Well, no, it's not. James Bond died, mate.
Bearing in mind, the public have quite a short memory. I mean, before Casino Royale. Before Casino Royale, I mean, it was almost on the verge of becoming a joke, I think. And, we have to give credit to Daniel Craig and whoever, the producers and the writers, for completely changing Bond.
They rebooted it, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you went back to the original books to sort of,
How about you, Wim?
In answer to the actual question, I've no idea. I think there's a lot of people at the moment, because there was a female 007 in this film. I've seen a lot of people getting very upset by that. I have no issue whatsoever with having women as 00s. Makes sense in this world that you would have assassins who were female. Of course you would. To Jason's point, sorry, the lineage is such that you could not have, I don't think you could have a female 007 with a Bond name. Yeah. Whether it's a code, maybe as a code name, but the challenge you then have is, if you say my name's Bond, there is only one other thing you can say. James Bond. You can't go Jemima Bond or Elizabeth Bond or Basildon Bond or whatever it might be. So,
and I don't think
they do have a big decision to make, because if you stick with the 007, I think history ties us to Bond, and if you're tied to Bond, I don't know how you effectively would change the essential nature of that character being a bloke, an orphan, hugely damaged, massively aggressive, in a focused, I can get stuff done kind of a way.
I agree, and I kind of think create good, strong characters for women.
100%.
Don't kind of just move this along. I mean, you know, they did it with Doctor Who, and you know, the jury's out whether that's successful or not. I quite liked it, but you know, I don't think you need to do it with everybody just because it's big. Go on, Jace.
Sorry, I mean, I think there is a way. I mean, what I did like about them. So before the film came out, it was like, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna bring in a, you know, a woman who's gonna play James Bond, and they're gonna do this, that, and the other. And a little bit part of me said, okay, that's great. Just there is a set of literature there that underpins the whole franchise. So whatever they do, just be respectful of what that is before you take off another direction, because that was my mindset prior, back in the day when they're first talking about all of this. Then I saw the film and I was like, how they introduced the female 00 agents and what have you, I thought, oh yeah, well done. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. And no part of having come into it previously going, okay, having read all the books, you know, just, oh, is this going to work? Oh God, here we go. They're going to dump all this sort of modern. This has got to be like this. Oh, how's it going to be? And yeah, I watched it and I was just like, oh, touche. This is so well done. It's like at no point did I refer back to that previous mindset that I had. I just watched it and went, okay, that's how they've introduced female 00 agents. That is, why would there not be? You know, that's completely normal. They explained why this particular 00 agent had the 007 moniker. Yeah, again, all completely reasonable. No part of me going, oh my God, what have you done? Yeah. It was all based on real, reasonable, commonsensical, current. It just work.
But it was also done in a homage, wasn't it? I mean, when we first met that
absolutely,
that was from, I can't remember which film it was, but it was some.
That was the one you were talking about.
Isn't it Live and Let Die? This is the one with the there's a tarantula on the bed, isn't there? And you know, it could have been that film until, you know.
Well, even with taking the wig off,
it's the same. Yeah. All right, so let's finish on a high. What was your favorite moment or thing, and give it a score? So I'll go first. Do you know what I really liked is I did like the robotic eye and the guy with the robotic eye, because I always like those guys. You know, I like the two weirdos in you know, the ones with the scorpions.
Diamonds Are Forever.
Obviously Jaws and Knick Knack. You know, I'm a fan of those guys. So yeah, I was quite pleased to see the kind of crazy character, and I'll score it in a minute. With them.
I think just because of how I felt it had to end, I think the ending, the fact that in all those previous films, when he looks at the clock and he's got 20 seconds to get 6 miles away, somehow he does it. Whereas this time it's like, oh no, we can see the missiles coming in.
Yeah.
Having in mind, he would have done it if he knew he could see his wife and child again, but you know.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, your favourite moment?
Favorite moment was just that little piece where he's got the little rabbit tucked into his belt towards the end there. I was like, oh, you know, what's wrong with you? Shut up, nothing.
As a father.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is only going to go one way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, even thinking about it now. I thought that was a really nice little touch. There's lots of other little things in that film which made you go, yeah, this is really, really good. From an action scene, I was tied between the bike chase at the beginning, where he sort of does that whole jump.
Yeah, that's very
bridge. Good. I really, and the Land Rovers, that whole all the flipping.
That little bit of product placement.
Yeah. What? So that's my multitude of answers for that.
All right, so let's give it a score. Wyndham, out of 10.
I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10.
All right. I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think it had a few problems, so I could really give it a 9. And Jason, who you have proved your credentials, I have to say, you are
thank you.
Mr. Bond.
Oh no, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right then. I'm going to go with an 8 actually, again, right, because I liked a lot of the things they did. Some of the things I just like, you've not finished that storyline, and you've not done this right, and it wasn't perfect, but I liked it a lot.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks, guys. So, Jason, we're going to hear from you again very soon because you're going to be coming on our Christmas special. Yes, you are.
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I look forward
So
to
I
it.
hope you've chosen your film because you've got a pop up at the end of our November special.
Okay. Yes. I shall talk to you about that later on.
It's going to be very complicated.